Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Forbidden Radio, episode number 11. Unfortunately, Noah could not join us today, but I'm joined by Luke, recurring guest.
What's going on?
How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Good to have you here. Um, all right, start us off. Talk about you want to talk about the blogs? I think we just released a new one, right?
Yep, we just released the fourth blog yesterday. We've got four blogs up right now. We've been going for the last 2 weeks. We're getting some traffic, we're getting some comments, we're getting some people reading. It's good stuff. We're still we don't have a backlog, too big of a backlog yet, but we're staying on our schedule, so that's good.
That's really good. Yeah, I got to get to work on that one. I want to start a serial, start a little mini series on there.
Yeah.
Uh,
What you
yeah,
thinking?
I've been thinking, and I want to do one about that's heavily focused on like alien creatures. I think that'd be really cool. So
Yeah,
have a
that would
guy
be
like
cool.
traveling different planets and stuff, kind of like a hunter, but more like capturing them instead of killing them. And then we get to learn about like
Okay.
alien biology and stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
So you're doing like a old universe version of Steve Irwin?
Exactly. Yes. Great way to put it.
Look at this beautiful creature. It's got spines and sharp teeth.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
she's
he
just a little
wrestles them.
ornery right now. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just not doing, creatures. I'm just doing like culture. So maybe
Yeah, yeah.
maybe my guy and your guy can meet up in a blog.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Yeah, do a little crossover blog.
Yeah.
Would we be able to do that? Like, post it on both of ours?
What we would probably have to do is just like collaborate and write separate blogs from each of the characters' perspectives
Oh, okay. That'd
and then
actually be
post
really
them
cool.
separately underneath. Yeah, so like we have the same incident or the same event that happens, and then both characters write about it from their
Each
perspective and
POV.
like
Yeah, yeah.
release them in the same week. Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Uh huh. I have an idea for one, which might be my first one, that I actually kind of stole from a Reddit post on r/short stories. Just the setting I took, which it was like this planet with like a super like deep forest that's kind of like an ocean, and so like traveling like to the bottom of that forest is kind of like traveling to the bottom of the ocean, and there's like, it's dark, and there's like strange creatures and plants and stuff. And I think that'd be really cool. I never even read the whole story,
Yeah,
but
instead
just
of
the
getting
setting seemed really interesting.
instead of the I believe I read the same thing. Instead of like going deeper and deeper underwater, it's like the trees get taller and
Yeah,
taller,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
the creatures get more and more. Yeah, yep, I read the same
Oh,
one.
no way.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I actually never read it.
Oh yeah,
Like I only
I
read the
thought that was a
beginning.
really cool idea too.
Yeah, I might have to find it again somehow.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think
have
it
any more
started
plans
off
for the
as like a
blogs?
writing prompt.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, right now, just for me personally, I'm just focusing on this one idea, just
Right.
because I have a bunch of different ideas that I could use, but this is pretty consistent, and then I can kind of explore the old universe myself as well
Right.
as introducing all the readers to it, and then just coming up with like different stuff. Like I've already written the first 5 or 6
Oh, okay.
blogs that I'm going to post. Like
Nice.
they're already like all ready to go. I just have to like link them and categorize them and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then as I add stuff to the lore, like we have our documents where we keep track of all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever open those things up, you're going to see my name a lot.
Yeah, I haven't really been using them a lot because most of my stories use just the lore that's already been established. But I do want to start adding a bunch of stuff because I do have ideas, but I just haven't taken the time to flesh them out. Um, what was I about to bring up? I don't know. Switching topics though, Assassin's Creed. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so I haven't played some of the more recent Assassin's Creed games. I think the
Mm-hmm.
last one I played was Syndicate, just because I don't know, the setting really appealed to me. But I saw the cinematic trailer come out for Shadows, just the other day, and I thought it looked really kicking cool.
Yeah, it does
And
look cool.
then I saw a bunch of people were like upset by it. I was like, y'all need to chill.
Yeah,
It'll be okay.
Just people on Twitter, man. They just be getting upset over everything, especially people who play video games. Like, I think it was like a couple years ago when they added like a girl to Call of Duty and they started freaking out. And then they added like a girl
Mm,
character to GTA 6 and then they started freaking out. It's
yeah,
crazy. I don't understand how these people
yeah.
exist.
It's. I mean, everybody has the capacity to get like all spun up over like relatively small things, like, and it's just nuts, like the kind of things that they get spun up over. Like,
Right.
I mean, I could understand, like, for anybody who is listening that doesn't know what we're talking about, like Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to have two playable protagonists. One is a female Japanese protagonist. Her name is spelled Naoe. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but I'm going to say Naoe, just because I
Sure.
don't
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
know how
really
it's
speak
pronounced either.
Japanese. And her character design is kind of like more ninja like, which I was like, all right, that's cool. You can tell she's going to be a little bit more stealthy, a little bit more like traditional assassin. And then the other one is a he's an African male protagonist based off of a real historical figure named Yasuke. And people got all spun up about having a black dude be in a Japanese setting, and I was like, well, I mean, he is an actual historical figure, and
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is known for using real historical people to tell their stories.
Mm.
And you know it's just like I don't know what you're getting so messed up about, especially since it doesn't seem like any Japanese people are getting upset about it. They're like, oh
Right.
yeah, Yasuke.
They're like, whoa,
They're
cool.
like
But then,
all about it,
yeah,
and
it's
it's
all just
it's
like,
everybody else is like getting offended for them.
yep. They always do that though. Like they'll try to use any sort of logical reasoning to like hate on it. Like they'll be like, oh well, it's not historically accurate. He was a retainer, not a samurai. But it's like the does the technicalities really matter? Like it's a fictional game. Like obviously they're gonna take the historical aspects of it and change it up for the game, which they do in every game, and they're just kind of nitpicking at this one.
And
It's
it's
crazy.
I and like from so like I had heard about Yasuke like several years ago. Like I have a screenshot saved in my phone because it came across like my Pinterest one day, and I was like, oh, that's a cool story. I never knew about that. And the very limited amount of like information we have about his story and what happens to him, he very well could have been a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like very ambiguous, but he was an important person. I can't remember what the name of the Lord was, but he was a very important person to this guy,
Yeah.
and he very well could have been a samurai. He acted as a bodyguard to a Jesuit missionary or priest or something before he came there. Like he was very strong, and he fought in battles alongside this Lord. So whether or not he was like actually a legit like samurai, I don't really know what the process is for being samurai
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was a warrior. He fought alongside of this lord, and
Mm-hmm.
he was. It all seems pretty legit. It's not like he was a scribe or something that just kind of
Right.
sat in the background of this important time in Japanese history. Like
Right. Like he was
he
still a
played a legit
fighter.
role in it,
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, does it really
and I
matter
think
as long as the game is cool? As long as the game is fun to play and the story's cool. That's all that
yeah,
matters.
that's all that's all that really matters. I mean, there's a lot of games like the Fallout games, like you as the player are kind of putting yourself in the role of the character. Like
Right.
there's lots of character customization and things like that, and you can kind of be whoever you want to be. But the Assassin's Creed games are more about following this quote unquote historical figure in this like alternate history and following their journey. So it doesn't matter who that is. I mean, the very first Assassin's Creed game you play like a Middle Eastern guy. I can't remember. It
Right.
was Altair, and then I don't remember what his surname is, but it's like Ibn Ahad or something like that. Like they follow all these people that may or may not have actually existed, and they may be telling their stories closer to the truth or not, but it doesn't matter. Like this studio is taking history, and they're telling the story that they want to tell, and if you don't want to engage with that, that's fine. Don't engage with it then.
Right.
But
Yeah.
to have that extreme of an emotional reaction to it is a little bit okay. You need to chill out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smoke some weed, if depending on the legality of wherever you
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. We do not advocate illegal use of recreational drugs.
No,
I never
only do
actually
it if it's
played.
within the laws of your state.
Right. I never played any of the newer games. I think the only one I played was the first one of Assassin's Creed, and
Hmm.
I don't think I ever finished the game. But from what I did play, it was really fun. So if the new ones are anything like it, I think that's really cool. However, I did hear that they started like changing the way that the games work a lot, like the mechanics and the storyline. So I don't know if they're as fun, but I do want to play them. Especially, I think it was Odyssey because that one takes place in ancient Greece, and I've always been a fan of ancient Greece and like their mythologies and stuff. So I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and I heard Assassin's Creed Odyssey was really good.
Mm,
Assassin's Creed from the games that I played, because I played like the original and like two and three and Black Flag and Syndicate. And I mean, more or less, like if you've played one Assassin's Creed game, you've played all of them because it kind
right.
of follows the same kind of thing, has similar type missions. Like it's, it's just the gameplay is all very straightforward
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of sticks to the same theme. Like, yeah, they do add extra things like new gadgets and, new ways to do things, but they just kind of make it, it's the graphics are better, it's a different storyline, but it's Assassin's Creed. You go, you
Okay.
assassinate people, you're fighting the Templars. Like all the rest of it is just flavor text for whatever particular protagonist you're following at the time.
Right. I did hear that Black Flag is like a fan favorite because it's like
Well, because you get to be a pirate.
you get to be a pirate, which is cool in and of itself. But I've heard it has like some unique aspects to it that the other games don't have, which I guess comes with being a pirate, like having a boat
Yeah,
and stuff.
you sail a ship around.
That's really cool.
You sail a
I
ship
want to try that
around.
one.
Yeah,
Um.
the naval warfare in that game is really awesome, but it also has one of the most hateful missions I've ever played in my entire life when you're
Oh,
trying
does it?
to follow another ship like stealthy like
Mm,
through like these narrow canals and all this shit like that. And it probably took me like an hour to beat that mission because I failed it
Jesus.
so many times. It's like I just want to shoot things with cannons. I don't want to do. Listen, I
Stealthy.
know Assassin's Creed is a stealth game, but I am not a stealthy player.
Oh, okay.
I am a run and gun. I jump into groups and guards and start slashing. Like I don't do stealth very well. I just don't have the patience for it.
I see. So like on games where it gives you an option where it's like you want to play stealthily or you want to just run in the door shooting everybody, you'd shoot everybody.
Yes, I am the guy instead of getting a sniper rifle and a combat knife and being all sneaky about things, I'm like, I'll take the grenades and the shotgun and I'll just kick the
Yeah,
door down
just for running in.
and I'll get absolutely massacred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like the stealthiness of games like that, like the Batman Arkham series, where a lot of it's like crawling through vents and like sneaking up on people. I like that. I'm more of a stealth player for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I just played Arkham Knight. I haven't beaten it yet because I'm trying to beat the last Riddler mission,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a really hateful mission. I am terrible at driving.
Oh yeah.
Like GTA, it's fine because you're supposed to crash into everything. But anything where you're not supposed to crash into everything, it's obstacle courses are not my thing. And it's just the last one, and I play it and I do it like 9 or 10 times, and I get really frustrated, and then I put it down. I won't play it for a month, and I'll pick it up again
Oh, got
because I
it.
can't beat the game until I beat that one. It's like I just
S-
want that one achievement, and then I'll be done.
See, I'm the type of person where like if a mission's too hard and it doesn't matter for like the main completion of the storyline and it's just like to 100% the game, I just give it up. I just don't even try anymore. I don't think I've ever 100%
I
a
know
game or like platinum them.
it's not even 100% the game. I just want that particular achievement because
Oh,
now the
got it.
missions piss me off. It's personal now.
Now it's a pride thing. It's personal.
Yeah, now it's a pride thing. It's like I just need to beat this one mission. I am one mission away.
Yeah, those Riddler missions are always the hardest, I feel like, and finding all the trophies and stuff. Hate those.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even bother trying to find all the trophies. Like I'll try to unlock them when I come across them, but I think I looked up the achievement. It's like over 100 trophies you have to
Yeah,
find, and I
yeah.
was like, nah, I
It's
don't
something
got time for
crazy.
that.
Yeah, not worth my
It was
time.
like that one of the Assassin's Creed games too, where you had to find all of, like, the feathers that your little brother collected or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no. All those like find.
I don't give a shit about those
Yeah,
feathers.
no. If it's not killing someone, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
All right. I did want to talk to you about writing a bit. You know, we're both writers. You more so than me, I'd say.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, if you write, you're a writer.
Fair enough. However, I haven't been writing much these days, if I'm being honest. Um, I was gonna say, what are your favorite genres or subgenres? Because I know you say you like fantasy, and I think you said dark fantasy
Yes.
specifically. Uh, is that the only type of fiction you write, or do you write like more like modern, uh, I guess realistic fiction, like without the fantasy aspects, or are you just like full fantasy, sci-fi, all of that?
So I don't write like contemporary fiction. I would consider
Contemporary,
that
that's the word.
like real life stories that happen in the real world with no other like fantastic elements to them at
Mm.
all. I don't write that. I get bored by that.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
fair.
writing those kinds of stories that take place in like supernatural type worlds. So like I like writing fantasy, especially grimdark fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like science fiction, and I really love writing horror. I'm actually
Oh,
just
right,
started
right, right.
my second horror novella earlier this week.
Oh, okay. Can I get a little synopsis, a little inside scoop here for the podcast?
Yeah, so right now the working title is Flesh Book,
Oh,
and a new virtual reality platform was released that is ultra realistic, and the protagonist is a man named Eli who he lives a very he lives a very unsatisfying life, and he starts finding that he is enjoying living in his virtual reality world more than in the real world, but there's a dark underbelly to the world of Flesh Book that causes some real life horror for him.
yikes. So Fleshbook is the name of the VR?
Yeah, I had a dream, and the name Flesh Book came up in the dream, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that for something.
That's sick. I like that. Speaking of VR, have you seen the show Three Body Problem? Because that reminded me of when you said super realistic VR.
I haven't seen it, but I've been hearing about it for years. Like since the
Mm-hmm.
book was published, like I've been hearing about it, and then I saw that the show got released on Netflix, and everybody was raving about it. And it's one of those shows that got added to my list that I just like haven't
Uh,
gotten into yet because I have a hard time committing to new things.
yeah, I'm the exact same way. It took me a while to get into it, but my friend kept pressing me. He was like, "Trust me, you won't regret it. It's a great show." And I think he's read the book, which I didn't. I wanted to because I usually like reading the books beforehand, but that book was a little bit more difficult to get into. So I was like, you know what? I'll just watch the show. And I watched it, and it was great. I really liked it. Probably my favorite show I've seen this year. Highly recommend to anybody out there.
And maybe on your recommendation, I'll start watch. Maybe I'll watch the first episode tomorrow or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See
It's
what.
like really easy to get into. It's a good story just from the beginning. I like it. It it was a
But
little
yeah,
confusing at
those are
first
my
because it.
preferred genres.
Oh, right, right, right.
What's that?
Nothing. Forget it. Um,
But yeah, my preferred genres are definitely science fiction, fantasy, and horror. I really love horror movies, horror video games. I'm all about that. It's just hard for me to write horror for long periods of time because it can be a little depressing.
oh yeah, I can imagine. I don't even like reading horror or watching horror. Like I like it,
No,
but it's sometimes too much, you know?
I mean, there's also different subgenres of horror. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a minute there where I was like, oh, I'm going to start writing some splatterpunk horror. And then I read some splatterpunk horror books and I was like, nah, never mind. I'm good. I don't want to get that in
Not
depth.
your cup of tea.
So, I mean, splatterpunk, I mean, it's got its appeal to it, but it's very very visceral, very, very gory,
Mm.
deals with a lot of uncomfortable things. Like it makes you feel icky when you read it.
Oh yeah, see that's my
Like
least favorite type
and
of horror then.
yeah, you would hate splatterpunk then. And I thought that I would want to try to write that just to kind of
Mm.
like I'm gonna pull out all the stops and I'm just gonna write just the most fucked up stuff that I can think of. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Hey, I mean at least you
I
gave it a
like I
try, you
like
know?
to yeah, I like to bring it down to where there's like an icky moment, but it's
Mm.
not too terrible. And then like I bring it back up again. It's always up and down and up and down. And sometimes like Splatterpunk is just like, oh man, this is just it's just rough. I just feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would not like that then.
But there's yeah, there you probably wouldn't. I think I sent you and Noah one of my one horror novella that I wrote the
Oh,
rough
you
draft
you
for.
did. I never got around to reading it. I totally forgot about that. I'm gonna write down a note to read it later.
Yeah, you should give that a read. It's a pretty short read. I'm trying to do this collection of so like I think I talked we talked about in your podcast last time. Like I'm trying to write short fiction um in the style of Goosebumps where everything is just like
Mm-hmm.
novella length and kind of moves pretty quickly.
Right.
So it's just easier to get into the book and then get out of it again. It's very digestible for people who don't have a whole lot of time to read
See, I love
because
that
it's
type of
hard when
stuff.
you have to sit down with like a 50 to 100,000 word book. That's like
Oh
a
yeah.
serious time investment. And I think the one that I sent you was like 28,000 words.
Okay, yeah. See that's what I like. Smaller books, almost like an anthology series. I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write. I think I have 13 novellas
Oh,
or 13 ideas right now, and I'm just gonna keep plugging away at them. Like I'm taking a little bit of a break from my second Forbidden Origin short story, and I'm gonna write on that for a week or so, and then go back to that. And I'm just gonna bounce back and forth, and while writing blogs for uh
yes.
for
Heavy
the
workload.
website. It's I get a lot of writing done in a week. This has actually been a slow week for me. I've only written like 3,000 words this week.
Jesus Christ. See, I wish I was on that level. Uh,
I
ha-
mean, when I got laid off from COVID, I wrote 17,000 words in one day.
oh my goodness. See, I can't even imagine.
But then I didn't write anything for like 6 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like those little spurts of writing, like they're nice because you write a lot at once, but then it kind of like leaves you with a little bit of writer's block afterwards.
Yeah,
You're kind of just
you're
like
just like I
going
don't
up
got any
now.
juice left. It's all
Yeah.
gone.
Yep. Emptied the tank on that one thing. I was gonna bring up also, which POVs do you like writing from? Like, are you a first person type of person or a third person?
So I like doing first person and third person, and it really depends on the type of story that I'm trying to tell. So for a lot of my novellas, I usually do third person limited,
Mm,
so it's only from the perspective of one character.
right.
But like for for Blood on the Snow, every chapter I switched characters' perspective.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So yeah, every single chapter was from a different person's perspective, whoever was still left alive at the time, and several of the chapters follow the monster's perspective.
Oh, that's really cool.
So you kind of get an insight into what the Nantanok is thinking and what its motivations are. Just because I wanted to try something different with that. For Fleshbook, so far I'm 3 chapters in, and I've written it all from the primary protagonist perspective, and I'm probably going to keep with that because it's a more personal story. So it
Okay.
follows him and what's happening to him. It's not like a group of people.
Right.
So it's just going to depend on what the story is. But so last time I talked to you all about the urban fantasy stories that I'm working on, and depending on which protagonist I'm following, it's always from first person perspective.
Okay.
So you have an unreliable narrator that doesn't have all the information and doesn't see everything, and it's written from them because that's the most personal that you can get. And I really want to like I want the reader to have like their innermost thoughts, and I want them to realize that, oh, just because the character thinks this doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
Right.
So I have a lot of unreliable narrators.
I do like that. I feel like it adds a little bit more to the story because it's like you don't know
Mhm.
exactly who to trust. You don't know if you can trust what the character's telling you. I was also gonna ask if you prefer multi POV, like multiple characters, or just one. But I guess you kind of answered that. Well, you like doing both depending on which what you're writing.
Yeah, it just depends. It just depends on the story that you're trying to tell. For the urban fantasy series I'm writing, it's going to be one POV, one perspective that entire time. Although it's going to be, I still have to figure out what I'm going to do when the characters come together. So, like each of the primary protagonists are going to have their main series,
Okay.
and then every once in a while they're going to come together in the same book. And when I do that, I'm going to switch to third person perspective and
Right.
follow each of the characters in their own chapters. And for the fantasy series that I'm working on, it's going to be multiple POV. And for the horror novellas, it's going to vary from each one. I
Okay.
don't like to be limited just by one thing. I just like to try everything.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it with everything. Like, people tend to confine themselves into like a certain genre or a certain style of doing things, but I think just trying everything, seeing what you like, seeing what works, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you like?
Oh, I like big like ensemble casts when reading, but for writing, I feel like that's so much harder to like establish a voice for each character and then like sticking to it throughout. Like if you're doing chapters or if you're switching with like third person omniscient, uh, it's really hard. But I do want to write a like a high fantasy with an ensemble cast. I think that'd be really cool, and just have like a bouncing around from each person's head. Uh, so like multiple POVs, third person. I guess it would be third person limited, and then just switch the character throughout the chapters. Like each chapter is a different character, but it's still like when you're reading one character, you can only see what's going on inside their head. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to write. I mean, I've read things from like third person unlimited or third person omniscient,
Mm-hmm.
and I tried writing like that, and it just broke my brain.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
just
the
like
most
I because
confusing thing.
I got lost.
Yeah.
I got so lost. I get lost sometimes when I'm reading other people writing it because it's like they didn't effectively convey who is thinking what, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, especially when
Who
the
is
like
thinking this?
yeah, when the transitions are like really rough or you don't even notice it and you're like, "Wait, I thought I was like in the perspective of this person and now I'm seeing this other person's thoughts."
Yeah,
Yeah, you really got to be
yeah, and then
careful
when
with
you're
that.
doing that, like it's yeah, when you're doing an ensemble, it's really hard to have individual voices because you really have to like each character has their own way of thinking, their own way of talking and doing all of that. And when you're doing third person omniscient, trying to mash that all into the same chapter, it's hard for me to switch gears.
Yeah.
Like I need that chapter break to switch gears and switch characters' voices.
Mhm.
Like the other day I was writing one of the blogs for Forbidden Origins with Dino Wynn. And if you've read the blog, like he's got a much more casual way of like talking, very grammatically incorrect, just kind of like just throwing things out. And then when I switched over to Fleshbook, I try to be very grammatically correct when I'm describing things, and the speech is different and stuff like that. And I tried switching back and forth within like 5 minutes of each other, and I was like, I gotta go play a video game or something for like 30 minutes and reset my brain
Yeah,
because
need a hard
I
reset.
can't just switch back and forth.
Yeah, I feel that. Um I for the ensemble character cast that I want to write, what I'm thinking is so I have this fantasy story that I'm working on where I want it to be from the perspective of like a mortal human, but then also like switch to some chapters where you're in the perspective of a god, which that's going to be a big jump, like changing the voice from just like a regular person and then to like this entity, this like super powerful being. But I like the
Hmm.
challenge. I think it'll be fun.
So what's the basic storyline? What's the back of the book blurb?
Oh god, it's a mess right now. I don't really uh the basic rundown I guess that I could give you is hmm I don't really have a blurb per se, but I'll just uh, rant real quick. So basically, there's this pantheon of gods, and they get their power by getting humans to worship them, right? So it's like you have like the god of like the sea, and then you have the god of like death or whatever, and it's like if more people are like supporting this god, then he's more powerful than this other god, and so like the gods will try to interact with the humans or try to cause natural disasters or whatever to make one god look worse or themselves look better, just to try to overtake the other gods, and like whoever holds the most uh power, whoever gets the most worship from the humans, like basically runs the pantheon and is like in charge and holds the throne or whatever. That's kind of the basic premise that I'm going for.
Cool. I like that premise.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can go a lot of different directions with that, especially dealing with different gods. Are you thinking about using like existing mythologies or creating a whole new one?
No, I'm trying to create my own, which is why I'm kind of not really writing yet. I'm still like building up the world, which is kind of the hardest part.
How big are you trying to make your pantheon?
Oh God, I tried at first. When I first started, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a ton of gods, have this, and that. But the more I try to actually build up the world, it's been getting cut down. I think last time I checked, I was around like 6 different gods or something. It's been a while since I worked on it. I don't really remember.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool idea though. I have a very old story in the back of my mind that I started when I was like 16 that involved a different pantheon of gods that I was working with. My idea was that there was a god of chaos, and
Ooh,
he decided that he wanted to stir shit up, and he got a bunch of other gods on his side. And I think at one point in time I had like 22 different gods.
Jesus
It was
Christ.
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
I mean, it's cool, when you're building up your own mythologies and stuff, but then it's very overwhelming, and you're just like, okay, I'm getting messy here.
Yeah, I always have that problem is I make things too big and too complex, and it's too
Yeah,
much for me to do by myself.
yeah, just overwhelm yourself.
Yep.
Um, oh, and one of the main things that I had going on in that story was like there was a rebellion of the gods. So like a group
Mhm.
of gods got together and they were like, let's overthrow the one that was in power at the time. And they ended up losing the rebellion, and they ended up getting casted down to earth. So then now there's gods roaming the earth, and so they're less powerful, but they go around and they're trying to recruit humans to worship them so they could build back their power and then overthrow the pantheon once again, or for the first time, I guess.
I got you. Kind of like it's like a civil war and then a civil war part two.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea.
thank you. Yeah, I've been wanting to play around with that a lot, but uh I always get overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of world building that it's taking, and then I'm like, what, I'll work on it later. I'll go do something else.
So yeah, I was just talking with there was a new person in the Discord chat that they're a writer and they wanted to kind of like get back into writing and they wanted some advice. And I was talking to them about world building, and like one of the things that I like to do for world building. So in my fantasy series, the worlds were starting to get it was the world building was starting to get too much for me, and I was getting into like the nitty gritty of like stuff that like shit that just doesn't even really matter that only I'm ever going to know and
Yeah.
care about. So I decided like I'm going to take the world that I have as it is right now, and I'm just going to like narrow my lens
Mm-hmm.
to like this one story, and I'm just going to develop the world. I'm just going to play and just write this short story. So I wrote a short story called Siren Song, and it followed a group of hunters. And these guys, like, they went out on the water. There was like this ocean that divided the continents, and they hunt these things called terras, which are these magically created monsters. And they collect bounties on them and stuff like that. And that was actually inspired by a movie that I saw that I watched with my wife one day on Netflix. And I got to create so much like intricate lore by writing this simple short story. It like helped with my world building, but also made me feel like I was actually doing some actual writing,
Hmm.
and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's what I got to do with mine. It's just narrow
Yeah,
that lens.
you should take one of your like fallen gods and like have them like recently fallen and just trying to collect worshipers and have them find like their first apostle. Like what is the short story of this god finding their first apostle
Mm-hmm.
and just see where that story takes you.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, because
Thank
it
you.
helps like it gives you some like nitty-gritty details about your world building and it kind of introduces you to your characters because when I'm like creating characters, like I don't always know who they are until I actually
Mm-hmm.
start writing with them.
Right.
And then once I start writing, like, yeah, I know who this guy is now. I know what he's about. I know the kind of shit that he does. And it kind of like can invigorate it. It like shoots some life back into the creative process instead of being like, oh my God, like there's money. Like what's the exchange rate between these two different countries' monetary systems
Yeah.
and their chief exports and stuff like that? Like, oh my God, this is so boring.
Yeah, I just get stuck in world building hell. I feel like that's really common. I've seen a lot of people like on TikTok and stuff talk about how they always fall into that when they're writing like bigger fantasy worlds and stuff.
I mean, yeah, it makes total sense too, because you're essentially playing God and we just aren't
Yeah,
built for it.
we're not.
Our brains are not really big enough.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about like, you know, coming back to Forbidden Origins in the old universe, like Armani and Eric like sharing their universe with all of us is
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, they get a bunch of different perspectives on it and they get all the lore building that we get into it. We come to them and be like, hey, like I have this idea for expanding the world. And they're like, yeah, better you than me.
Exactly. Well, don't underestimate Armani. I'm sure if he had the time, he would build the world all up himself. But he's busy
If
making video
Armani
games
had,
and stuff.
yeah, if Armani had 48 hours in a day, he still wouldn't be able to do all the shit
Oh
that he
yeah,
wants to do.
yeah. That man is
Sleep is
insane.
holding that man back.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I mentioned to him that I got Unreal Engine and I wanted to like start playing around and see if I could make games and stuff. He instantly called me. He was like, "Hop on a call. I want to talk to you about it." And he started like showing me around and stuff. And he did
Yeah,
show
I
me around
saw
like
that.
the
He's like,
basics
Angel,
of
get
what.
on right now.
Yeah, he was like, "Hop on a call." I was like, "Okay." Yeah, that man is very obsessive.
Yeah, he's very dedicated
Oh
and
yeah.
he chases whatever thing that he's got on his mind at that moment and he just builds like these amazing things. Like he just keeps
Mm-hmm.
posting these videos about the game that he's working on. I was like, I don't know if I could build that shit if you gave me like 6 months and you just did it
Right.
in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, when he called me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm at work right now." He was like, "I'm working right now, but I wanted to talk to you about this." And I was like, "Man, go back to
Yeah,
work." Yeah. Once he sets his mind to something, there's
I
no
can't get
stopping
away
him.
with that in my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's it's nuts. I mean, it's great, but it's always like it's like, oh man, you're wearing me out just talking about the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah. It is respectable though.
Like, man, I thought I was hot shit because I wrote 1,000 words today. You just built a whole video game.
Built a whole video game while still writing book 2, while also working, while also, having a relationship. I don't know how he finds the time.
Yeah, and coordinating all of us and working on the
Yeah, being
blog
our
and
boss. Oh my
I
god.
yeah, and I'm constantly pestering him with questions. Like we have our own little DM chat about all the blog stuff and like I'm always pestering him and Eric about that sort of stuff and he always answers.
He loves being asked questions. He loves just ranting about his worlds and stuff.
Yeah, I'm always worried that I was like they're going to get so tired of me pestering them about stuff.
No, he loves that.
Especially when I'm like, "Hey Armani, are you done that blog yet?" Like poke poke. Like, "Are you done?"
Yeah, like get to work, Armani. You're not doing
Yeah,
enough
I
yet.
went in. Yeah, like one weekend, like we had talked about the blog, and then I logged back into like the editor side of the blog and looked in the drafts, and there was like 53 drafts in there, and they were
Jesus
all from
Christ.
Armani. I'm like, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing?" Then I realized most of them were just titles, and I was like, "Okay, that
Oh
makes
yeah,
more
yeah.
sense." I was like, I thought he wrote 50 blogs in 2 days, and I was like, I can't keep up with this pace.
He's too fast. Oh, circling back to video games though, um, Noah was asking which video games inspired us, and I think one of my biggest inspirations recently is definitely Elden Ring, especially with that world I was telling you about with like all the gods and stuff. That was heavily inspired by Elden Ring. Like I love the lore of that video game. I don't know if you know much about it, but it's really interesting.
I've I haven't played Elden Ring just because like the Dark Souls games intimidate me and
Mm,
they're so notoriously hard
yeah.
that I was like, nah, I don't have the dedication for this. But like I follow people on TikTok and I see the lore and stuff like that. And I've watched like I don't know if you've ever seen like Game Theory on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
So like I'll watch their videos on it. So I know a lot about the lore, not as much as like most people, but I know enough to get by. But I mean it's got some really cool lore in there. What about it specifically inspired you?
Just like the I don't something about like that scale of that world. Like it's so
Hmm.
impressive how like everything is interconnected. All the like it seems like everything has been planned like since the beginning, where it's like every little character that you interact with, every like huge name of a boss that you hear, like they're all connected somehow. And just like the backstory that goes back like hundreds of years or whatever in the lore, it's like insane. Like I watched like hour-long lore videos about it, and they have like battles and wars and like political marriages where it's like Game of Thrones just for the backstory of this video game. And it's all like stuff that you don't even see in the game. So it's like all just like theoretical backstory, but they still like built it all up. And I think just like
Yeah.
the massive scale of that is just amazing to me. And I would love to write something like that. But obviously like with them it took like a team of people and like a bunch of time. But I still wanna, try to do something similar.
Yeah, I feel that. I love how there's more and more games these days that are putting like these like you can play the surface level game and enjoy it just fine. And then if you like dig a little bit, there's like a story beneath the story.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed that. Like I think the one of the first times that I like really picked up on something like that was playing Portal, like back in the day,
Okay.
where like yeah, you've got this main game, but then there's all these like secret rooms and there's these like scribblings on the walls. I think it was the Rat Man was what he was called or something like that. And there's like this story underneath the story that you can kind of pick up on and find all these like little clues and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like more recently, like Helldivers, like there's the surface level Helldivers game, and then there's the story beneath all of that. And I've never played Helldivers, but I watch like all these TikToks about the gameplay and then the lore, because the gameplay just looks fun as hell, and
Mm-hmm.
then the lore underneath everything is just it's really mysterious, and there's all these like it's just got a lot of clues and all this other kind of stuff in there that I just think is really awesome.
Yeah, I love that type of stuff, like the environmental storytelling, where it's like just by paying attention and looking around, like you discover like the hidden layer of story that's there. I love that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember. Like I we talked about it the last time I was on. It was a specific video game that made me realize that what I really loved about video games was the stories. And I can't remember what the name was. It was a game on Dreamcast, like way back in the day, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a very Final Fantasy-esque game, like a turn-based role-playing game. And I could only play it when I was at my buddy's house because I didn't have a Dreamcast. And so I started like designing my own video game
Mm.
where I was really just writing the story of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, the coding part is not so much my thing, but I really like doing the whole story. That's a lot of fun. And that's what really got me into it. So like role playing games and especially like even though it's not a role playing game, like the Resident Evil games, I really love the stories in those games. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're kind of cheeseball, but that's what really got me into all of the storytelling and like picking up the little bits of lore and like reading journals and stuff like that. Like I
Oh yeah.
really loved that in the game.
Mm-hmm. I would love to work with you on a video game, because I love like the mechanical side of video games, like the all the programming stuff. I think it's really cool. I don't really know a lot about coding, but I am interested in it and I do want to learn. And like that's what interests me about video games. That's why I want to learn how to use Unreal Engine and stuff. And But if you like writing stories, I think we could work together on that. Just give me a few months to pick up this coding stuff.
Absolutely. Hit me up. We'll design a video game.
That'd be so sick.
Armani will still beat us to it, but
Yeah, he
still.
probably will. Yeah, he'll have one done before we even start.
But yeah, I really like watching I like watching like YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and
Mm-hmm.
Markiplier like play these like indie video games. Especially when they do like the let's play like short horror games.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're so like some of them are just they're just kind of like crappy,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's others that are like surprisingly like good and like they're scary games, but they're not just jump scare games. Like they're just the atmosphere and the environment that they build with very simple assets. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're really good at that environmental storytelling. I was like, this is amazing, and I wish I could do this.
I know, dude. I've always loved video games, and so I remember back in middle school we had a project where it was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What is your life goal or whatever? And everybody was picking like, traditional jobs and whatnot. And I did my presentation on video game developers because I was like, that's gonna be me. I want to do that. Obviously, life didn't go that way, but I think there's still time to pick it up.
There's still time. I mean, how old are you?
21.
You got plenty of
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
21. I'm about to turn
yeah.
40 this year, and I'm still trying to make it as an author.
You're right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
even now I
Well,
feel old, which I guess
I
is
mean,
crazy
it
to
doesn't
say to
get any
you.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. Age
It
doesn't
doesn't
really
get any
matter
better.
when you think about it.
There's days that I wake up and I have the mentality of a 17-year-old because I have
Right.
no
Right.
idea what the hell is going on. But everybody's like, "You're 39. You should know what the hell is going on." I'm like, I don't know
Nah.
anything. I'm just
We're all
trying to
just
survive.
children who grew up. We're all just children who got
Yep.
older.
Yeah. Hit me up after the podcast sometime. We'll talk video game development. We'll see what's up.
Alrighty. Great.
So what are some of your other favorite video games?
Um. Honestly, my most favorite of all time is the one game with no story, Minecraft. I love that game. I've been playing it since I was a little kid. I'm obsessed.
I was just playing it earlier today, and there is a story in Minecraft.
Okay, yeah, I guess there is a story, but see the part of Minecraft that I like is like the fact that it doesn't have a story. Is like the sandbox part. I love just hopping in a survival world
Yeah.
and just building and making up my own stories as I go.
Oh yeah. I mean, my wife and I play Minecraft all the time. We just build new worlds and then we just build stuff.
Yeah.
Like right now we're in a versus, and I say versus it just means we're building separate base locations
Okay.
because I always would feel too bad like going and burning her base to the ground, and I also wouldn't want her to come and do that to me.
Yeah.
But uh but yeah, I love playing Minecraft just because it's so simple and straightforward. Um I know there is like hidden lore in the game,
Mm,
and like I've watched all the game theories about like Minecraft's hidden lore and stuff like that, and it's really fascinating. Also, does not change the way I play the game at
yeah.
all.
Yeah. Like it's interesting to like, hear about and learn about, but for me, it's just all about that sandbox aspect where it's like hop in a survival world and just figure it out, build whatever you want to build. The sky's the limit. Your creativity is the limit.
Yeah, yeah, we still play it. That's what we should do. We should play Minecraft sometime.
We should. What do you play on? Which one do you play? What version?
I play on I don't know. Honestly, it's on whatever PS4 has.
Oh, okay,
That's what
okay,
I play on.
okay. Yeah, because there's the
My
like
what?
the PC Java version, and then there's like the console Bedrock version. But I have both of them, so
Yeah,
yeah, I'd be down to play it.
yeah. So I play the Bedrock version then.
Okay.
I know that my wife we play cross platform because she plays on her phone while I play on the TV.
Oh, okay, okay.
We tried doing that split screen thing on the TV and it's just too confusing for both of us.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
too
yeah,
too busy paying attention to her screen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I yeeted myself off cliffs too many times.
Yeah, no, I remember I used to have to play with my siblings like that because anytime I was playing, they were like, "Oh, I want to play too," and so I would have to give them a controller and split screen it, split the TV in four.
Yeah, I mean that's how I grew up playing those kind of like couch co-op games because
Mm-hmm.
like I grew up in the age of like GoldenEye and like the very start of like some first person shooters,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a survival technique to watch everybody else's screen.
Right. They're like, "Don't look at my
But now I
screen." You're
can't
like, "I'm
break the
not. I
habit.
swear."
Oh no, I told them. They're like, you're looking at my screen. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, I am, and I saw you sneaking up behind me.
yeah. No, I would always
Ain't gonna
lie.
be a thing.
I would always lie. My brother would be like, "I swear you're watching my screen." I'd be like, "No, I'm not. I promise." But I was watching the whole time.
I would just tell my friends like, you're just mad that I can watch my screen and yours at the same time.
Yeah, that's a skill. That's a skill issue. That's what that is.
That's not a skill issue. That's ADHD.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Can't even focus on your own
That's
screen.
all
You're
that
just looking
is.
all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we should definitely make a Forbidden Origins Minecraft server though. I feel like that'd be really cool. I don't know if any of the other guys
Yeah,
play,
that
but
would be really cool. I mean, they don't have to play. We'll just make a Forbidden Origin Minecraft server, and whoever wants to play can play.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, oh yeah, we could share in the Discord. See what's up.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Armani would be all about it. He'd go in there and he'd build the Black Palace in a single day.
yeah, actually, probably. Um, oh, another game that I really like that I still have never beat is Cuphead. I don't know if you've played it. I'm sure you've heard of it.
I've seen the gameplay on Cuphead. It looks really cool, but it also looks insanely hard.
Oh, it is very hard. I have not beat it. I just gave up and I haven't played it in months. But I love the art style. I love the storyline. And then, those difficult games where it's like you just keep dying to the same boss over and over again. They're fun, but I do eventually just always give up.
Yeah, when you just can't beat that something. I've given myself a rule like if I'm having a hard time with something, I have to put it down for at least a full day before I try it
Mm.
again. Because there's been so many times where I stayed up until like 3 o'clock in the morning trying to do this one thing, and then like just suffered all the next day. And now my rule is like if I can't beat it like 6 times in a row, I'm just gonna go to bed. And then sometimes I'll wake up the next day and beat it right away.
Yeah,
Except
sometimes
for
that's
that
all you
Arkham
need.
Knight Riddler
Oh,
race.
yeah, the exception. Yeah, no, but sometimes all you need is like step back, look away from the screen for a bit, and then come back, sit down, and then you beat it first try.
Yep. You just need to give your brain a little break.
Yeah. Do you play any
But
like
yeah, there's
multiplayer
also
games?
I used to, but I was a big fan of like couch co-op games.
Mm,
I have not been a big fan of like playing online since like for the last like 20 years.
okay.
Like the OG Counter-Strike, like my buddies and I, we had our own clan and we would just go on there and like just just fuck shit up and have a lot of fun. But, then people got more, you started getting microphones and like
Oh
I'd have
yeah.
to listen to everybody talk and like I don't really want to listen to everybody talk. I like to listen to my buddies talk so we can
Right, right, right.
coordinate a little bit, but I don't want to hear what, some guy, living in Florida has to say about me sniping him in the head and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like I don't
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
need all that.
Especially people on
But
CS:GO, you'll find some of the worst people in the world on there.
I know. I mean, I see some of the stuff on TikTok sometimes, the way they talk to people,
Hmm.
and it's like, guys, it's just a game. Like just chill out. Like it's
Yeah.
all good. I do like playing multiplayer games. If I had like I mean I'm on a PS4 and my laptop can't handle most games,
Right.
but I think if I got back into it again, I would enjoy it. But it would have to be with people I already know. I don't want to play with a bunch of randos.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like it's either I'm playing alone and playing with randoms and just not talking, or I'm just playing with like my friends.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only way I want to play. It's either I want to play with random people and I just don't want to interact with them. Like I'm just
Hmm.
here, or I want to play with people that I know. Like I love watching like other like YouTubers like play with their friends. Like
Right. I
that's the
like that
part
too.
that's fun with me about those
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
games is like talking shit to your friends and having these little like side contests and stuff like that. Like that looks like a ton of fun.
Hmm.
Like one of the other YouTubers I watch is Smitty,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, I mean I just think that they're hilarious. They're playing like Worms Armageddon
yeah.
and stuff like that. Like I grew up playing Worms, and it's such a fun game that you just get so pissed at sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, one online game that I've been really getting into past few years is Valorant. It's like a ripoff of CS:GO,
Okay.
but I don't know, something about it, man. I started playing it in like 2021 maybe, and I just fell in love with it. And I am not good at it by any means. I'm like, I think bronze I was the last time I played, which is not good. But just something about like the way that like the pro I've been watching like the pro players play it, and I just think that's really cool. Like that's the one game where like I'll watch like the esports of it, just because like the mechanical skill that it takes like at that level is just insane to me.
Yeah, some of these esports players are absolutely insane. I'm still
Mm.
really bitter about the fact that my parents said that I could never make a living playing video games, and there's people out here making six figures a year doing the exact same
Right,
thing.
it's
But
crazy.
y'all held me back.
Yeah, you could be a professional player by now.
I could be. I was there for the OG StarCraft. We
Oh
had it.
damn.
Somebody had installed StarCraft, like a free version of StarCraft, on every computer in our school,
Oh.
and everybody knew where the file was hidden except for the teachers.
That's crazy. So you're just playing in class or at school?
Yeah, we would play in class. There'd be like, I can't remember what the limit was for matches at that point in time, but there would definitely be like, 15 people playing while the teacher was teaching, just in different games.
Yeah.
It was
I've never
crazy.
played StarCraft, but I know it was like really big in esports, like maybe like a decade ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that good old real-time strategy games that
Yeah.
I can't play anymore because I don't have the patience for them.
Fair enough. Um, oh, I also play Rocket League sometimes here and there. That one's really fun too.
Rocket League looks like a lot of fun.
It is pretty fun. It's kind of hard to get into, like, cause it's such unique like movement mechanics and stuff. Like, there's no
Yeah.
other game like it. But once you like learn the basics, like it's fun. But
It looks like pure chaos.
oh yeah, and then once you get like up to the higher ranks, then it's not that much fun anymore. Especially when you get like teammates that aren't as good as you, and you're just kind of like having to carry the whole team by yourself, and you start losing ranks, and then you start getting mad. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's I found that like when I play games with like rankings and stuff, like when I was when I was younger, I like to like progress up the ranks as quickly as
Mm-hmm.
possible. But then I realized that there is a certain skill cap, and I will manage to get into the bottom of whatever that rank is. Like, I might be a gold rank player, but I am like just barely a gold
Just
rank
barely,
player, and then I
yeah,
can never, yeah, and then I just get stomped on all the time because I'm not really that good.
yeah,
So now I find a nice place to just hover in where
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's difficult, but not so difficult that I couldn't do better if I wanted to. And I just like to float there.
Right. See, I have the opposite problem where like I'll be like just under the next rank, and like I can't get over that hump, and so I'm just like hovering right at the edge, and then like I'll just keep losing and go down, and then I'll climb back up and almost reach it, and then I'll just stay up there whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I understand the need for that sort of thing because it's really not fair for someone who's like been playing that like, oh, how many hours you have in this game? Oh, 500. Yeah, you're gonna destroy me.
Yeah.
But that's how it used to be when I grew up. Like you bring your friend over and like, hey, you want to play Mortal Kombat?
Oh yeah.
It's like I've never played before. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show you some shit.
Yeah, that
I
was
had a friend
me
that he would come
recently.
over and
Oh, go ahead.
what the yeah, I had a friend that would came over and we played a game called Blitz. Like it was Blitz 2. It was a football game, like a brutal
Oh, okay.
football game.
Yeah, yeah,
And like he always wanted to play with me and I was not kind to him. I would just
yeah.
stomp him into the ground.
Not go easy at all.
It would be it would be like 80-7. And I was like,
Jesus.
are you done yet?
Like you still having fun?
Like we can keep going. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, no, that was me. A few months ago, I think I went over to my friend's house and they had Mortal Kombat, and like they all had played before and they all knew what they were doing, and I was just like, I don't even know the characters, so I'm just picking random every time, and like learning the
Yeah.
combos as I go, and they're just destroying me the whole time. But it's still fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I went. My wife and I went over to my friend's house, and we were playing Smash Brothers, like
Mm.
whatever the newest version of Smash Brothers was. This was like a couple years ago, and we were playing it like, whoever the winner moves on and the loser switches out, and we were doing best two out of three, and my wife had never played Smash Brothers in her entire life, and she smoked both of us.
Oh my god. Sometimes it's just like beginner's luck, just like button mashing, and they figure
It,
something out and it works.
It wasn't even button mashing. She just avoided us. She just
Oh,
ran away from us all the time. And then
mhm.
we played ourselves and kept on dropping ourselves off the map. And we're just like, this is so dumb. It's so dumb. It's like, I'm just going to keep running away from you. And I was like, and it's working. That's
Yeah, I
the
mean,
problem.
hey, if
It's
it works,
working.
it's if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
No, my sister still won't let it go. That one time I got the game Injustice, where it's like a fighting game like that with DC characters. And
Yep.
my first game, like I was like, "Hey, you want to play with me?" And she was like, "Sure." And like we start, and like I'm over here trying to figure out like what each button does, and she's just button mashing, and she ends up beating me. And this was like over 10 years ago, and she still brings it up to this day. And I'm like, "You won one game, relax."
Younger sister.
My younger sister, yeah,
Yep. That's why.
yeah.
If you let your younger sibling beat you in anything, they'll never let you
Oh
forget
yeah,
it.
for sure. I was also like that to my older brother though, so I get it.
Yep. Yep. That's just the way it be.
Yeah.
I I remember when I was younger, like I still remember beating my dad at board games like back in the day because my dad never let me win at board games.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember very vividly the first time I ever beat him playing Risk. And I was like, yes, finally, victory. It only took until I was 10 years old, but I finally did it.
Yeah. Wait, Risk, is that the one where like you play as a country and you're like taking over like land?
You don't really play as a country. You have like starting countries, but it's a game of world domination.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you have just like a color of your army and you have different like the world is divided up into all these different I would call them districts because it's not necessarily countries. Like the United States is split up into like the eastern United States and the western United
Oh, right, right, right,
States.
right. Okay.
And your goal is just to cover the entire map with just your army.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I tried playing
The
it once
longest
with my friends. I did not do good at all.
Oh, I love that game. The longest one I ever played was like 46 hours
Oh
long.
my god. That's insane.
Yeah, it was like me and four of my friends, we all started playing and we played the entire weekend. Like we would go to sleep and like take pictures on like our Polaroid cameras of like what the map looked like so no one could mess with it in the middle of the night. And it was exhausting.
It sounds exhausting. I hate that game. Like they have like an online version now and that's the one that I was playing with my friends. And like they've played it before, so they knew what they were doing and I was just like hopping in as a new beginner and like trying to figure it out and they were not teaching me, they were just kind of destroying me.
Yeah, just stomp all over you. That's no fun. I don't
Yeah.
like my dad would routinely beat me, but he didn't just stomp me into the ground. He would allow me room to make mistakes and then tell me why that was a mistake
Mm,
and
yeah.
then show me what that meant to be a mistake so that I learned strategy and stuff like that. It's no fun to just I mean, it was fun when I was a kid. It
Yeah.
was fun to stomp on people, but now it's just, I want some competition.
Right, yeah. Cuz even then like when you're the one destroying, it's like how is it fun if like the other person just doesn't even know what's going on? Like you got to teach them a bit, get them up almost to your level, but still to the point where you could beat them.
Yeah. I mean, I do make some exceptions to that. If someone gets a little snotty with me about, doing so well in
Oh,
a game, like, okay, we're about to turn gamer mode on
yeah,
now.
yeah. Yeah, the lean forward and show them what you can
Yeah.
do.
Lean forward. So, all right, show me what you can do.
Yeah. No, I have a friend who no matter what the game is, like he'll be like, "Oh, what's this game?" and we'll like teach him the basics and like he'll just like surpass all of us even though we've been playing for way longer. Like during quarantine, he picked up Call of Duty for the first time. Like he had never played any of them before, and we started playing Call of Duty World War II. And like he didn't know anything, and we just taught him like the basics, and he ended up being like way better than all of us, and he would just like be at the top of the leaderboard every game.
Some people just have a knack for certain types of games.
Yeah, and he's also really competitive, so he's like like he'll grind a game until he's like better than us at it.
Yeah.
Which
So
I
bringing it
I just
back
don't
to like
really
the
have that
story.
drive. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't either. I don't really have that drive either. I just want to enjoy the game.
Right.
Bringing it back to the storytelling aspects of games, has there ever been a video game that made you feel surprisingly deep emotions?
Oh God. Um, Probably Red Dead Redemption 2, which I guess I should have
Yeah,
seen it
what
coming,
about it?
but just like I don't know what I was expecting because I had played the first one, but I was like little when I played it, so I don't even think I finished the story. But when I picked up the second one, I just went in. I was like, yeah, I want to be a cowboy. I want to ride around on a horse and shoot people, lasso them up. But then just playing throughout the story, it's like surprisingly emotional. Where it's like, you're building up relationships with all these other gang members, and I don't know if you play the game, but some stuff happens. Some
Yeah.
characters aren't as nice as you think they are, and then eventually your own character. Spoiler alert for anyone who's never played the game. Arthur gets sick, and then just you like he's over here sick and dying, and then you still have to keep going, keep playing the game, and just that ending, dude. That ending killed me. Like I was not expecting that. I was like, this is the main character, nothing's gonna happen to him. He'll be fine.
Yeah, just brutal.
Yeah, yeah. But I love that type of stuff. I love like tragedies where it's like they're doomed from the start, but you go through the whole process anyway, and it just leaves you feeling
Yeah.
empty. But I love that type of stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, so like for me, like Final Fantasy VII, ever played it?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
So I won't get into it just in case you ever do play it, but
Okay.
anybody who's played Final Fantasy VII knows exactly what I'm going to be talking about because it's like a canon event for millennials,
Oh,
especially
okay.
gamer millennials.
Mm,
But there's a character that dies in that game, and it was so shocking to me as like a kid that like I had to put the game down and like I literally cried because I was so upset, and I tried to like reload and figure out if there was something that I could do to save them,
yeah.
but it's something that it happens in the game. It's like it's literally a canon event in the
Yeah,
game. There's
yeah.
no way to avoid it. And oh man, it was just so devastating. But there's been a lot of times like books, video games, movies where I've just been like unexpectedly like caught up in emotion over it
Yeah.
where like I had to like put it down and like reevaluate my life.
Yeah, you just sit there for a while, like staring off into nothing, thinking.
Yeah. Like it happened like my wife and I were watching some movie on Netflix like a couple months ago, and it was some animated kids movie, and didn't expect to did get the feels over it at all, and then like at the end of the movie got super hard in the feels, and both of us were just like, I did not expect to get this much into this movie.
Dude, those
I
kids
was just
movies
gonna put the movie
sometimes.
on. I know it's just brutal. And then
Mm,
like there was a book that I was reading, who's it by? I think it was by Terry Goodkind. He has a series of fantasy books,
mm.
and there was a scene, I think it was in like book 5, where one of the characters gets really, really sick, and she like ends up like she's on her deathbed, and all she wants to do is like go out and feed the squirrels one last time.
Oh God.
And her partner takes her outside, and she feeds the squirrels one last time, and it's such a touching moment. And I was like, I was like a teenager when I read this scene, and I was just bawling my eyes out.
Damn.
It's just like she just wanted to feed the squirrels one last time.
Oh my God. Actually, that was me with Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck.
Okay. Yep.
Dude, oh my
Yep.
God. Like he just wanted to tend the rabbits, man. And I read that one for school actually. So I was like, whatever, like a book for school. I guess I'll read it. But it ended up being like one of my favorite books, and now I own a copy myself.
Yeah. And that's the great thing. That's what I want when it comes to like storytelling, whether it's movies, TV shows, video games, whatever, is to get in touch with somebody's feelings. Like
Yeah.
have them feel something, have them laugh, have them cry, have them be invested in the characters in some
Yep.
way to where it makes them feel actual feelings for these fictional characters. Like for me, that would be a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
I
That
really
I
want
think
to
that's the
break
goal.
someone's heart.
Yeah, exactly. I want to tear someone down and make them sob while they read my stories.
Yep. I would consider that a great accomplishment as a writer if I could
Exactly.
make them feel real feelings for my fictional characters.
Yeah. Like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the anime. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Not
god,
yet.
dude. Oh, you haven't seen it? Highly recommend.
Not yet.
You'll feel stuff.
So,
You'll feel stuff. Yeah.
isn't it crazy how that can happen?
Yeah,
Like
dude.
I don't know how many times I just like put something random on. I was like, oh, this looks like a cool thing to watch, and I just get these really strong feelings about these characters. It was like, damn, this is so well written.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I watched it because there's a song on the soundtrack that I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, I kept seeing it on TikTok, and like obviously I had heard of the game. And I was like, you know what? I'll throw it on. It's only 10 episodes. I'll watch it. And then I ended up binging the whole thing in one day. And at the end, I was just sat there. You know, it left me thinking, and uh, it was, I don't want to spoil it, but it's amazing. I highly recommend. I ended up rewatching it later that week too. Like it was that good.
So I guess on the other side of that spectrum, what is like a television show, movie, video game where it was like your hot take on it is like it was wildly popular, but you just could not stand it.
Ooh, that's a good one, but I don't think I have any off the top of my head. Because usually when it's like there's like a really big like popular like movie or show or something, most of the times I don't watch it just because I don't know, something about it when like something's super popular, I just feel like I'm not interested. And like I kind of hate that I'm that way because it's like everybody's talking about it, everybody's like loving it, and I'm like, you know what, it sounds kind of cool, but like my brain's like, no, that sounds like it sounds like people want you to watch it, so I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I was that way with like the Harry Potter and the Twilight books
Mm,
when they first came out. Like,
mm-hmm.
I adamantly refused to read Harry Potter books. I'm like, I have my fantasy books. I was into reading before all y'all were into reading.
Right,
Okay,
right, right.
y'all were making fun of me for reading these fantasy books, and now you want me to read your stupid Wizarding School books. I mean, don't get me wrong. As soon as the movie came out, I got into the movies, and then I started reading the books, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah,
But at the time, I was like, I am not going to engage with this. And like, what Hogwarts house are you? I'm like, I don't care.
yeah. Dude,
Please leave,
With
leave me alone.
I was the same way with Game of Thrones. Cause like, you know, everybody heard about Game of Thrones when it was coming out. It was like the biggest thing, and it's like, oh, new season, whatever. And I was just like, I'm not interested. I don't even want to see anything about it. Like, keep that away from me. And then a few years ago, I watched it for the first time, and now I'm obsessed. Like, it's like my favorite fantasy series. One of my favorite fantasy series. But
Yeah, I was the same way with Game. I don't think I got into Game of Thrones until like season 2 or 3, and then
mm,
I watched the first season, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna watch this. And then I don't think I only lasted until season 5, and then I gave up on it. 5 or 6, I
really?
think.
So you never finished it?
Yeah, it was. I could no, I just kind of kept up with it in like by reading articles
Right,
about it.
right,
Like
right.
I kept up with the story, but I just remembered somebody owes me money because I guessed the ending of the
Oh
series,
God.
and I made a bet with them. I made a bet with him. I wasn't 100% right, but I was more right than he was.
mm, gotcha.
He owes me money now. I'm going to track him down. Granted, it was like 7 years ago, but I'm going to get my money.
Yeah, you better find them. Honestly, I think it's for the best that you stopped watching at like season
Yeah,
5.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The very last thing that I remember, like the last episode that I remember watching, I think it was Braun was in a jail cell, and
Oh,
one of the uh one of the sisters
yeah, yeah,
like had poisoned him or something. Like that was the last episode that I watched. And it wasn't that it was a bad episode at all. It's just that was the last one that I remembered watching. Because I think I didn't have cable at the time, so I was watching episodes in other ways, and that was the last one that was available. And then I was
oh,
just
okay.
like, it's not worth the effort anymore.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a respectable episode to leave on. That scene that you're describing is probably one of the worst written scenes in the show. Like it has some of the worst dialogue. I
Yeah.
hate even thinking
Yeah, I
about it.
think that's what did it in for me.
Hmm.
But there's so many other good moments in that show. Like I think overall it was a success, but
Mm-hmm.
from what I heard, because I've only seen clips of like the last season and stuff like that, from what I've heard, they could have done a better job. Like they could have done it more justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it doesn't help that the author is still not done writing the
Oh my
books.
God. I don't think he's ever gonna finish them. If we're being
He's not.
honest.
He's got his money. He's
Yeah.
good.
Oh
He's
yeah, he's
fine.
set for life. Now he's just doing stuff for fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I had made millions of dollars writing a story and then someone else finished it for me already, I'd probably be like, it's good, it's fine.
Yeah. And also I think the fact that like now there's like so much more pressure on it to be good, cuz like people
Oh
will be
yeah.
like, "No way we waited this long for a mediocre ending." And so I just think at this point it's not even worth it for him to finish it. So I understand.
Yeah. So when he dies, some other author will be like, I'll finish Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Brandon Sanderson's going to come along and just finish it off.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
think I really
I,
have any hot takes on like popular media. I'm always either
what
with the
about a movie?
crowd or just I just didn't even watch it.
What about something that like you and your bud or that your buddies or like your family thought was really good and you were just like, I can't stand it.
Actually, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, really?
Yes, it's like my friends hate me because they all love it and they're always like, "Watch it, like it's good. You just got to get into it." And I think I watched like 6 episodes of the first season, but just it was not for me. I don't know. I didn't really vibe with it.
I never made it out of the first season of Breaking Bad.
Really?
Nope, never did.
Oh my god! I thought you were gonna be over here upset that I didn't watch it or that I didn't like it.
Nope. I don't remember which episode it was, but um it was the first season. I think Walt had just killed like a drug dealer in his basement or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like after that episode, like I was just like, I don't like the way this show makes me feel.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like
That's
this
actually
is
what it
just
is.
depressing.
Yeah, because I'm
Like
sure
that's
like the
super
writing is
depressing.
great. I've heard like from what I've seen like clips and stuff, like it looks like it's well written and interesting with good characters, but just like the overall feel of it, I'm like I don't like watching this.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I'm
Yeah.
totally on board with you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good example. For me, I have two things. One, there was a movie called 1917 that was released.
Oh, war movie,
And it
right?
was a World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a World War One movie, and it was all shot in one continuous shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. Like I saw a horror movie like that, and I'm very impressed by that cinematography. And I can't stand that movie.
Oh my
I went to go
god.
see it in theaters. I went to go see it in theaters with my friend who's a film buff. And like
Oh.
afterwards, he's like, "So what'd you think of the movie?" And I was like, I can't do it, man. I can't. I'm never gonna watch that movie again. I just can't. It was just rough for me. It was just so rough.
mm,
And part of it was like one continuous shot. So for me, that means like what is happening right now is their timeline of the movie because it's
right.
all one continuous shot. And like for me, like movies and TV shows, as soon as you start, if you make a mistake and it takes me out of the story just enough
Oh
that I
yeah.
start noticing things, then the movie is just ruined for me
Yeah. No, I'm the
because I'll
same
start
way.
nitpicking at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like one of the things that just killed me in that movie is like near to the end, like the whole premise of that movie is he's got X amount of time to make it to the front to warn them that it's a trap. Like this is really pressing, like no bullshit, gotta hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And like he is right there at the front and he hears this chick singing and there's all these soldiers like sitting around her and he stops and sits down and listens to her sing.
Oh my
And
god.
I understand the choice and I understand kind of like what they were trying to convey during that scene,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just like motherfucker, you have been running so hard like the last like 90 minutes of this movie and you're stopping now. And if
Yeah.
you had not stopped to like listen to this chick sing, you could have saved hundreds if not thousands of people's lives more than what you did because god damn it, like you have one mission, do the mission, make it happen. And
Yeah.
it just pissed me off. And the other one was I can't remember what it was called, but it was the Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he finally won his Oscar, The Revenant.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
I I hated that movie. I hated
Really?
it so bad.
How come?
Yeah, like my sister, my brother-in-law, and I went to go see that. And one, it's stupid long. It's like
Oh,
3 hours long.
okay.
It's 3 hours long, and it felt like it was 6 hours long. And like it's like the first 20 minutes of the movie are the best part of the whole movie, and then it's just
Mm.
a lot of like drawn out Oscar baity kind of stuff where
Oh.
like they do this one scene where he's sitting there, I think it's with a Native American guy, and they're like looking at the stars and talking and like singing Native American songs, and I was like, yeah, this is all really cool and everything, but how is this advancing the plot forward?
Right.
Like we just spent
Okay.
20 minutes doing absolutely nothing to advance the plot. And like I walked out of the theater knowing how much I hated that movie, and I was like, he's gonna win an Oscar for this movie. I can just tell.
Damn. Yeah. So you could just feel it, like
For
the
some reason,
writing was written for an Oscar.
yeah, it was written for an Oscar. It is an
Mm.
Oscar bait movie, and most of the time
Gotcha.
I cannot stand Oscar bait movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two. Revenant and 1917. I couldn't stand those, and a lot of people that I knew liked it. Fortunately, my mom and I got in the car after the movie, and I was like, I couldn't stand that movie. And she's like, oh, good, it wasn't just me. So like, I knew my mom.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. As long as you weren't the only one. But seeing
Yeah, I wasn't the only
1917
one.
with a film buff, that's got to be rough. Like I'm sure he
I
loved
mean,
that movie.
oh yeah, he loved it, but I was honest with him about it. I was like, I just could not do it. I
Mm.
just couldn't do it.
Fair enough.
I definitely wouldn't. And he went to go see it like 3 times.
Oh damn.
I was like, I could not. No, no, never.
Well, I guess like
One
from
time was
a,
plenty.
I guess he's seeing it from like a film perspective, and you're seeing it from like a writer perspective.
Yeah, and that's because he went to film school and everything, and
Oh okay.
he's appreciating the movie in a way that I'm not. Like I was
Exactly.
there, like he was there on a much deeper level than I was. I'm there as a consumer,
Yeah.
and then as soon as it kicked in my writer brain, like as soon as I saw like what I could perceive to be a flaw in the writing, because I'm not saying that it was a flawed movie, just it was I perceived it to be a flaw in the
Mm.
writing. And as soon as it kicked in my editor brain, I was like, nope, you shouldn't be doing that. Then you got to do this. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And like, why this character's motivation doesn't make sense anymore? It's like, what are you doing? Like this, no.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah. No,
just
I feel that.
once I start picking at those loose threads, it's game over.
Oh my god, I have the same thing where like writer brain will take over when I'm like watching a movie or something, and I'll be like every sentence just feels like I can hear it coming out of the writer's mouth. Like it's like okay, this is exposition. Okay, this is this is that. Like this is setting up this, and I hate that I can't like immerse myself anymore.
Yeah, it's they make like something happens in the movie that takes you out of being a watcher of the movie, and then now all of a sudden you're starting to pick at like the building blocks of the
Yep.
movie. And if you start picking at the building blocks of the movie, the immersion is broken. You can't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah, I hate that because like I just want to be
Yeah,
a
I
mindless
hate it.
consumer and just sit there and watch the movie. I just want to enjoy a movie.
I have that problem with like reading books now. Like I'll read
Mm.
books and I see like a grammar error, and then all of a sudden the editor brain turns on, and then I'm like no longer just reading the story. I'm like looking for flaws,
Yeah.
and I have to like put the book down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go play video games for a little bit so I can come back and actually enjoy this book.
Yeah. Oh my god. You know what book really I did not like was
What's that?
Fourth Wing,
Fourth
which
Wing. What was that about?
yeah. Oh, you never heard of it?
Uh-uh.
So okay, it's huge, or it was huge on like on TikTok, where I didn't even end up finishing the book, but I got recommended it by a friend from work, and he even let me borrow his copy. And like I tried reading it, but the writing was just not great, not even good, I'd say. But it's like super massively popular just because it's like a easily digestible like fantasy where it's about a school, like a military school where they teach you how to fly dragons. And like the premise is cool, but the writing was just not it for me. And
Yeah.
also it's like very mature in the way of like it's very sexual, which is not really my style
Ah.
that I like to read. Yeah, so that kind of took me out of it as well, and I just ended up not even finishing the book.
Yeah, I was just talking to my wife about that like not too long ago, and this is sort of on that subject, but kind of changing it at the same time.
Mm.
I think there really does need to be like content warnings in books.
Oh yeah.
Like there
Yeah,
needs to
yeah.
be a rating system because as a young child, I was scarred by so many books that I read because I had no idea what was going to be in them.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I've seen.
I remember. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've seen videos where like teachers will be like, "Oh, a student was reading this book in my class," or like asking about this book in my class, and it'll be like some like really mature like adult book, and it's like, dude, like there really needs to be some sort of like a way to prevent that.
Yeah. Like what happened to me is I was like 11 or 12 years old. We used to go to Barnes and Noble like every week or every other week, and we it was a family thing. We like go watch a movie and then go hang out at Barnes and Noble for a couple hours, and I was allowed to get one book. And I got this book. I can't remember what it was called or who the author was, but it was like a science fiction book where like psychic powers were real,
Hmm.
and the main protagonist had psychic powers. And it was kind of like an intrigue kind of book, like political intrigue and conspiracy and all this other kind of stuff. And it was a good book. But like the climax of the book, out of nowhere, involved a very, very detailed and graphic essay scene
Oh
involving
God.
the male main character and a male antagonist. And I'm like 11 years old, that grew up in a very conservative Christian household and was not
Jesus.
exposed to any of that stuff at
Mm.
all, didn't have any idea, didn't know how to like process everything that I was like reading, and then felt so bad about reading it that I couldn't even talk to anybody about
Jesus
it.
Christ. Yeah, that sounds
And I was like, I
traumatizing.
remember, yeah, I remember that I burned the book and buried it in the backyard
Oh
so I
my
wouldn't get in
God.
trouble for it.
Jesus.
And like that's happened so many times where like, oh, this looks like a fun fantasy book. Oh wow, there's a lot of sex in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't like that type of stuff. Like even Game of Thrones, reading it was kind of like what are you talking about here, George? Like some of those scenes just had me taken aback a bit, but the writing was good enough to the point where I could like overlook that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with including those things in your books. Like you
Oh
tell the
no.
story that you want to tell how you want to tell it, and I understand why the writers do those things. It's to like for the one that I was scarred by, it's to evoke a very visceral emotional reaction to things,
Yeah.
which mission accomplished. You traumatized my young brain, but like you need to like people need to be warned about that sort of stuff
Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
they go into it. And I really appreciate that a lot of new authors like
Uh-oh. All right, you cut off at the part where you were talking about new authors.
oh yeah, it's just nice to see that a lot of new authors, especially indie authors, are putting content warnings and trigger warnings in the beginnings of their book
Oh, okay.
so that
Yeah.
people know what they're getting into.
Mhm.
You know, you think that some things are going to be like self-evident, but they're really not.
Yeah.
Like there are some things you need to like let people know, like, hey, there's going to be this kind of content in the book.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
you know, I'm not saying it should be a government mandated thing, but like there should be some sort of system where like, hey, this is an R-rated book. We're going to be talking about some stuff in here. Like, hey, this is PG-13. Like we're good. Like
Yeah, I
just
think
saying that it's a young
publishers,
adult book or is
mhm,
just not going to cut it. Because like the
especially.
in the story that I was telling you about, the main protagonist was like 16 years old.
Oh Jesus. Wait, was it by
So I
chance the book Ubik?
the what was the title of the book?
Ubik, Ubik.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
UBIK.
Yeah, yeah. It's a Philip K. Dick novel, but it just sounded kind of familiar where you said like they're psychics and it's like a political intrigue and it's a science fiction, but I guess a different book. But yeah, apparently some newer
Um,
authors, especially like indie authors, are like marketing their books as YA or even like no, yeah, like YA, young adult, and but they'll have
mhm.
like very adult scenes in them, and it's like I think authors should also be more wary of like how they market their books, especially when they have sort of
Yeah, and
adult scenes like that.
that's really shitty because like young adult is like it's like a big market right now. Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of money into it, and but you need like young adult for most people is like 13 and up,
yeah, it's like teenagers.
and like you need to be honest about like what's in your book so that like parents and kids can know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
And like, because I am not for like book bans or anything like that. I think
Oh
all
yeah, no.
books should be like out there and like, but like label them so that
Yeah.
we know what's in them
Yeah.
and that we're not like sideswiped because like if my kid, if I had a kid and my kid read a book like what I read, I would want them to be able to come to me and talk to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like crap, like I wouldn't want to get like sideswiped by that sort of thing where my kid comes like I have no idea what just happened. Like I'd be mad as hell.
Yeah. I'd be mad at like the author, the publisher. Like, you gotta have some sort of warning for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Like if
Well,
I'm
we're
gonna be
at
traumatized, I want to know I'm getting traumatized.
exactly. Let me know beforehand so I could traumatize myself. But we're at 90 minutes, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yep,
Um,
that sounds good.
Anything that you want to promote specifically?
Anybody that's listening, go check out the Forbidden Origins blog, Archives of the Old Universe. Are the Old Universe Book One and Echoes of the Old Universe are available on BarnesandNoble.com now.
Yep.
So you can go to your local Barnes and Nobles and check them out there. If they don't carry them, ask them to carry them, so that they can order some copies and maybe some other people get exposed to it. If not, like you can order it on Barnes and Noble, order it on Amazon, like promote all of that stuff. Like
Yep.
go buy those books.
Yep.
So
All
I
right.
bought them, so you should buy one.
Yeah. ForbiddenOrigins.com to go to Archives of the Old Universe. For the blog post. You could join our Discord if you want. I think it's also on the website. Follow us on TikTok, on YouTube here if you're listening, Spotify, I think, and a podcast. Leave a review or a like, whatever it may be. And thank you so much, Luke, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been good talking to you.
Of course, anytime. All right. We'll see you guys.